Good morning. We have 16 members of the public registered to speak today. The first 30 minutes of public comment will be delivered at the board meeting, and the remainder will be posted online for the public and board members on Wednesday, May 26th. As a reminder, we ask that all public speakers adhere to the MTA's rules of conduct and decorum. I'd also like to remind our public speakers that in the interest of time and fairness to all speakers, we will limit everyone to 2 minutes. Please be aware that there will be a warning beep to remind you that you have 30 seconds to conclude your remarks. Thank you for your patience and understanding throughout the virtual public comment session. The first speaker will be Bradley Brashears, followed by John Machino.
Greetings. I'm Bradley Brashears, Planning Manager for the Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee to the MTA PCAC. I'm giving my remarks on May 24th for the May 26th board meeting, so apologies if we missed breaking news. But I say this to reinforce the importance of allowing speakers on the day of board meetings. I'll also take this opportunity to urge you to reinstate committee meetings where so much valuable information is shared. As our region reopens and the subways finally return to 24/7 service, New Yorkers are on the verge of discovering our next normal. It seems that each week, a new post-pandemic ridership record is reached. The increase is clear underground with standing room only on rush hour trains. We believe a reimagined discounted fare structure on the railroads will help increase numbers there and help both riders and the MTA's bottom line. More on this in our forthcoming Freedom Ticket Phase 2 report. New York thrives on arts and entertainment, and the best way to get there is to #TakeTheTrain. Last week, I was in Astoria to watch interim transit president Sarah Feinberg and chief customer officer Sarah Meyer team up with celebrity chefs to call for New Yorkers to take transit to their favorite restaurants. It came on the heels of many restrictions being lifted on dining and entertainment. Perfect timing. Following that up, MTA officials and our dear friend Sandra Bloodworth, director of MTA Arts and Design, announced the June 4th return of Transit's Music Under New York program after a 14-month hiatus. And for those looking to escape hot times in the city, the Long Island Railroad has announced its summer getaways and Discover Long Island promotions. The good news is unfortunately matched with tragedy, as it is imperative that riders feel safe on transit. With additional New York police officers and MTA police officers being added to the system, we continue to urge data-driven deployment decisions, and that officers have the training and necessary tools, including being paired with outreach and social workers, to be most effective at dealing with some of the most heartbreaking and serious issues. We also want to take this opportunity to congratulate Rob Marino, Transit's Director of Government and Community Relations, on his well-deserved retirement and thank him for putting up with us over the years. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is John Mishno, followed by Renee Reynolds.
All right, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Despite everything being nearly fully reopened, the MTA continues to suspend its normal board operations and the right of all speakers to be heard at the meeting. It's quite obvious a certain somebody loves the power and everybody is intimidated by him. Anyway, I'm here to talk about what happened on the LIRR back on May 6th when all of us on the main line were told we were pretty much worthless. A large fire near the tracks in Westbury had shut down service, and no attempt was made to provide us with anything. Service could have been run east of Hicksville to Ronkonkoma and Port Jefferson that morning, but instead, riders were told they were on their own. No shuttle between Hicksville and Babylon, and no shuttle buses either. Meanwhile, everyone else gets buses except for us. This has caused me much stress and has worsened my mental condition. I have a disability and I'm on a limited income and I need to live somewhere with reliable transportation. Yet the only areas you seem to provide that are on the South Shore. And most of us know why that is, but are intimidated to do anything about it. And this waste facility where the fire happened isn't the only one along the main line, and new ones are being planned for other areas along the main line, like in Brentwood, posing a hazard not only to our service, but to our communities and our environment as well. And this wasn't the first time a fire happened at the Jamaica Ash facility in Westbury. In conclusion, if this continued discrimination continues, I will have no choice but to move to the South Shore, which will be a tremendous disruption in my life. But I cannot continue living somewhere where we're treated like this. I need reliable transportation that doesn't leave me stranded. Myself and the team at Passengers United will continue to speak up against this obvious and blatant discrimination against us.
Thank you. The next speaker is Renee Reynolds, followed by Rachel Foss.
Good morning. My name is Renee Reynolds, and I'm the new Executive Director of the Tri-State Transportation Campaign, a nonprofit organization fighting for sustainable mobility in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. We're glad that the MTA restored 24-hour service to the subway, bringing great relief to third shift workers who rely on transit. As the city continues to reopen its economy, we believe it is critical for the MTA to restart the planning and implementation of the bus network redesign. Some of these bus routes are relics of the streetcar era, and COVID-19 is likely to have altered commuting patterns, which makes it all the more important for the MTA to engage with communities, especially those that are bus dependent, to give bus routes a fresh look. We want to ensure that these bus networks redesigns are substantial and will not only better service existing riders, but attract new bus riders as well. That means that the MTA needs to improve that they're on track with the technical improvements like all door boarding, transit signal priority, identifying new bus routes and priority corridors. But it also means that the MTA needs to ensure that they're creating a network design that will, in and of itself, provide the kind of improvements to routes and frequency that these routes and riders' needs. Transparency and accountability are important parts of the redesign process, so the MTA needs to report to the board and the public on a regular and comprehensive basis. There needs to be tracking of real metrics for bus service that is in line with the kind of robust tracking that is used with subway improvements. Bus service deserves nothing less. We look forward to seeing the bus network redesign process move forward again, and we expect that the final plans will be substantially changed to improve service. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Rachel Foss.
Good morning. My name is Rachel Foss, and I'm the Senior Research Analyst for reInvent Albany. We advocate for more transparent and accountable New York government, including for authorities like the MTA. reInvent Albany is concerned that the possible creation of a new MTA subsidiary responsible for maintenance of the East Midtown Terminal as part of the East Side Access Project is intended to mask potentially huge operating deficits. In February, the MTA issued an RFP to outsource operation and maintenance of the new terminal located within Grand Central. The responsibilities of the new vendor would go beyond maintenance of the concourses and platforms to also include maintaining tracks, signals, and communication and vent plants. The RFP says the MTA intends to, quote, create a new subsidiary agency that will be responsible for the oversight and contract management of the service provider during the term of the contract, and the contract will be awarded by MTA C&D in the name of this new agency, unquote. The MTA already has a vast bureaucracy, and it is unclear how this new subsidiary will fit into the MTA's existing governance structure. If it's created, who within MTA will actually own responsibility for the new terminal, given that Long Island Railroad, Metro North, and MTA C&D will also retain some roles? At a time when the MTA is seeking to reorganize and centralize its operations, creation of a new subsidiary is completely counter to that goal. It will be also harder to assess labor costs with the use of an outside vendor. Additionally, we are concerned that creation of the new subsidiary would shift substantial maintenance costs off the books of Long Island Railroad and make the MTA's already complex budgeting process even more opaque. The state comptroller in 2019 found the operating deficit for East Side Access to be upwards of about $190 million. And the MTA's November 2020 financial plan shows a budget impact of about $200 million when service begins in 2022. Given these concerns, we ask the MTA staff to provide the MTA board, public, and legislature with a detailed rationale for creation of a new East Side Access maintenance subsidiary. The MTA board should not approve the creation of this new subsidiary without detailed financial information about how it will impact the MTA and Long Island Railroad's budget. The MTA board, legislature, and public should be wary of creation of new subsidiaries given their proliferation in New York State and limited capacity of oversight bodies. There are more than 1,000 public authorities and subsidiaries which have issued 96% of outstanding state-supported debt, and 585 authorities are subject to authorities' budget office oversight. The ABO has a staff of only 11 and a budget of $2 million to do the Herculean task of overseeing all of these authorities and subsidiaries. Thank you for your consideration.
Our next speaker is Andrew Pollack, followed by Charlton D'Souza.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Andy Pollack, the Regional Director of Passengers United. Two things we're going to discuss this month. First, regarding the Long Island Railroad. I'm very pleased to have found out from numerous sources in the media that the Long Beach line is expected to return to full 100% service by the beginning of July. My message to the president of the Long Island Railroad, and I've been saying this now for a year, please reinstate the 2:11 p.m. train from Penn to Long Beach. I need that train because it links me up with the Q30, Q31 bus in Jamaica for me to get home to Fresh Meadows when I come from a nice fun day in Midtown. So that should be on the record as was from the previous year. Also, I'm hoping that weekend half-hourly service will resume on the Babylon line, and hopefully the half-hourly service on the Port Washington line will return sometime later this summer. And the second point regarding safety with New York City Transit. So we have had a previous stance, Passengers United. We are still calling for extra patrols from the New York State Police because, as you know, the NYPD got defunded last year, so there's not enough resources. We want action from Albany, of course, so please, we want extra police in the system from the state police. Maybe even the National Guard can be called in for what we know, but that's all I'm going to say this month. Thank you all very much. Have a good Memorial Day, and I expect to speak to you all again in June.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Charlton D'Souza, followed by Alida Dupree.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Charlton D'Souza, President of Passengers United. And yet again, we had a shooting this weekend on the D line. Then we had a robbery at 169th Street subway station in Queens last night. And I rode the subway system all weekend. I didn't see one police officer. So we're being lied to about the police deployment in the subways. And furthermore, we have a homeless situation. We need 300 to 400 social workers in the subway system getting the crisis under control. This is getting ridiculous. And our organization, hasn't been invited to MTA press conferences. And I would like to know why, because our organization has held several of our own press events and we were on the 11 p.m. news. So we have been speaking and advocating for more police in the subway, which we feel is right. But at the same time, the security guards that the MTA has hired, they only make minimum wage. Many of the security guards that I've seen are playing with their cell phones. Some of them are not even patrolling. They're sitting down on the benches, sleeping, as I observed at the 28th Street Park Avenue station. So we have a crisis. Why don't you guys put the property protection agents who get the cash from the station agent booths? We need property protection agents. I think they would be better. And at this point, I think that the governor should sign an emergency declaration and bring in maybe 200, National Guard troops to help overnight because of the protest happening in the city. The NYPD doesn't have enough manpower at all times, but we need security. And what's happening now with the shooting, since when have we ever had a shooting in the subway system in recent months? I don't remember a shooting. So the subways are getting dangerous. They're not safe. We need security. And, it's not fair to your workers either. Your workers are getting punched and attacked. I believe 2 transit workers were attacked this weekend. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Alida Dupree, followed by Mary Parisian Lavelle.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Pat Foy and members. Alida Dupree for the record. My pronouns are she and her. Always good to be back with you. How about some Grand Central Terminal for you? This is what legendary looks like. I appreciate the work of facilitating vaccinations in our community on subway trains, railroad stations, Pennsylvania Station, and Grand Central Terminal. Can't think of a better place to get vaccinated than Grand Central Terminal. I'd do it myself, but I've had my vaccine already. What excites me most? ADA work. I want to see more ADA work, 50 stations a year. Why is it exciting? Because it is the gateway to full participation on our system, that more people can enjoy the benefits of new rail cars and signaling and clean stations and Omni. So we got to really keep up with our ADA work. And I think we have to get that Omni Fare Card and app out as soon as possible. Not everybody has phones, even with free smartphones, and some people don't want to use their phones. I would hope that everyone would feel safe using their phones, but cards are good too. I hope to get one. Paper tickets, they're older than me. I'm an old soldier, showing my age. So we got to move away from MetroCard and encourage people to load their fare products online. When you're at a vending machine, it's an accident waiting to happen. Safety issues involved. And we just got to work on our safety on the subway and using pragmatic solutions. I'm not going to go into all the technical aspects here, but I grew up on this system and I want us all to be able to enjoy this system. It's not just New Yorkers that love their subway, but people from all over the world who love this system that is the subway. I know I just used the title of a ELO song, Jeff Lynne and the Electric Light Orchestra, all over the world. So let's continue the work. And remember that our system is legendary. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mary Parison Lavelle, followed by CN.
Good morning. My name is Mary Parison Lavelle, Chair of Civics United for Railroad Environmental Solutions. Did you know that the MTA is a partner in the growing waste by rail industry? This industry would not exist without your publicly subsidized assets. Did you know that the MTA can play a significant role in stopping needless health and environmental harms from this new industry? How? The MTA can repower a fleet of waste hauling MP15 locomotives to Tier 4 switcher emission standards. MTA LIRR can do this with the $27 million the New York State Legislature has given you for this purpose since 2013. MTA LIRR can amend its transfer agreement with the New York and Atlantic Railway to require covers on open muffin top loads of waste. This would make derailments on your tracks less likely and end needless emissions of waste blow-off and leachate in our neighborhoods. The recent Tunnel Hill Partners derailment east of Jamaica required a crane from Pennsylvania. You may wonder if Tunnel Hill Partners is too poor to cover its rail cars. Well, Moody's reported that Tunnel Hill Partners in 2018 revenues were $280 million. In 2019, Tunnel Hill Partners was acquired by Macquarie, an Australian investment bank. Then waste giant Will Labreda, Win Waste Innovations, bought it. Yet these profitable private businesses continue to perpetrate irreparable harms on communities, including environmental justice communities. Brentwood, a New York State identified environmental justice community, is the site of Tunnel Hill Partners' latest facility. The New York State, yes, the New York State NAACP issued a press release last week protesting the siting of a new waste by rail facility in Brentwood. It's time for the MTA to act responsibly. You already have the resources and power. You need to do this. Thank you very much and have a great day.
Thank you. Our next speaker is CN, followed by HP Schroer.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Good morning, members of the board. I'd like to speak about the eHealth On Demand program. I'd like to know if we could please have an update. I understand that there's been other issues with the subways lately, but it would be nice to have an update on what the plan is for any rationing of the rides or caps on the amount of money on a ride? And what's going to happen with Curb? Are they going to be participating in the eHealth On Demand program anymore, or are they not? And about the availability of 24-hour service on the eHealth On Demand program. At the moment, Arrow provides 24-hour service, but LimoSys does not. And I'd like to thank the MTA because the new construction on the rail sheds under Park Avenue, that construction is going to include audible pedestrian signals. And I think it's really important that when the MTA is having construction projects, I think it's important to include audible pedestrian signals to help people who are blind or vision impaired to get to stations that are being reconstructed. And I'd just like to quickly talk about crime just for a second. It's been said that since the ridership has decreased during the pandemic, that crime has increased. My theory on that is I think that some of the people who are homeless don't have access to virtual meetings during the pandemic with their doctors or psychiatrists. They didn't have a way of refilling their medications. And I think that could have played a big part into why some people might be having some episodes in the subway system. But let's hope that we're not pushing the problem out into the streets from the subway. And I'd like to thank the transit officers for the great job they are doing at the moment. I've heard really wonderful stories about how just recently they saved someone who was on the tracks. A transit officer was using his flashlight to stop a subway train. So thank you, transit, for doing that. And let's bring back the token booth people too, from the side of the station where they were taken away from a long time ago, if we remember. So subway token people need to be on both sides of the subway station, not just one side. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Our next speaker is HP Schroer, followed by Yuki Endo.
Good morning. I'm sorry, good afternoon. For the record, I'm HP, a World War II veteran and director of UMIWI. For the last 4 years, I've heard the MTA board on Memorial Day thank veterans for our service and sacrifice by charging us full fare on the MTA. Is that fair? While you recognize the moral obligation, you didn't provide the money in your budget for a veterans discount. We heard you and created in the state legislature, which gives the MTA, the state, and New York City the money for the discount. The president added billions of dollars to your budget, specifically designed for public transportation. You have the money. The question is, do you have the will? Pat, at last month's meeting, I asked you, will you include in your budget a provision for a veterans discount? I'm waiting for the answer. For those on the board representing the mayor, I asked, will you support giving veterans a discount? I'm waiting for an answer. For Larry, Robert, Sarah, and other representing the governor, will you dedicate from every fare the estimated 2 cents that it would take to fund a discount? I'm waiting for an answer. How much longer will veterans have to wait for you to correct this injustice? Use your moral compass to guide you. Show your sincerity by acting with temerity. Prove a veteran's service and sacrifice is worth 2 cents. Announce on Memorial Day the creation of a veterans discount on the MTA. It's the right thing to do. I thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Yuki Endo, followed by Joseph Rappaport.
I understand the MTA chairman about preventing non-alienated to provide shuttle bus for the neighboring weekend shutdown because the night bus 20 to 24, 40, 41 do not run 24 hours, do not accept bikes on board the fixed route buses. And it does not substitute for the non-identified shuttle bus. All branches, including Hampton, Portchester, Oyster Bay branch, get that. But not for the Portchester local commuter between Jamaica Hicks. As you know, summer season is the tourist season for Long Island, with all the beaches, adventure and space splash open up Long Island. You did need to have a shuttle bus for the mainline commuter because Hart and Ginny are very busy during the summer season. Even so, it's expensive in Long Island. Now providing mainline commuters, shuttle bus, mainline ridership, and people going further east, where Papa spend no money on the Hart and Ginny because the mainline commuter inconvenience takes 3-4 trains. About a shuttle, local projection, so people will spend no money at these Hart and Ginny. Since they are no direct. Not many people cannot afford to take taxi, rideshare service, or the Hart and Ginny. Also, you need to provide shuttle bus for the mainline commuter because Hart and Ginny bus are hard to get on because the night is high demand. Also, I appreciate a job program, but tonight keeping the mainland community safe from the crazy people hanging around a train station, bus station, advocate the Long Island nice bus taxi drivers say. With all the kinds happening on the public transportation and rideshare service operators agency should work together to have an undercover also like the MTA survey buses, nice bus, and for and city bus doing doing day and night. Also, when the also painted a schedule should come back for the Long Island little.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Our next speaker is Joseph Rappaport, followed by Jason Anthony.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, board members. My name is Joe Rappaport. I'm the executive director of BCID, the Brooklyn Center for Independence of the Disabled, and I'm here today to talk briefly about two issues. One is this public comment period. It is now 14 months into the pandemic, and the MTA's decision to continue to restrict the amount of time public speakers are allowed to speak, only a half an hour at the actual meeting, and to hold only one meeting a month no longer makes sense, if it ever did. When the MTA made its meetings remote, I thought it would be a good thing. No longer would members of the disability community have to get up at 5 a.m. to prepare for a long Access-a-Ride ride into Lower Manhattan for a 9 a.m. meeting. Instead, they could make their comments from the safety of their own home. But it hasn't worked out that way, actually. Remarks must be made 2 days in advance of the meeting, not in real time. And they are often cut off because you only allocate a half an hour for the public to speak. In addition, because you do not have committee meetings any longer, there are fewer chances to speak. I want to emphasize how important the public speaking periods have been to the disability community. On subway access, on Access-a-Ride, I know board members and staff alike have heard and learned from our testimony over the years. Folks, get with the program. It's time to restore committee meetings, make the comment period in real time, and end the time restriction. A hybrid approach may make sense as well. On the Access-a-Ride front, we are very concerned about the elimination of a key vendor in the on-demand program. I understand the reasoning behind it, and I'm not going to comment on that, but we are concerned about the program. Beyond that, as my colleague Ruth Lowenkron wrote the MTA's accessibility advisor on Friday, I quote, "Our recollection is that the revised broker procurement is slated to save the MTA approximately $40 million.
Please
Where,
repeat your remarks.
you bet. Where is this money going? ARG strongly urges the MTA to reinvest any savings back into the paratransit operations and specifically into an expanded on-demand program without restrictions on the number of rides or the cost per trip. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jason Anthony, followed by Vanessa.
Good morning, board members. Jason Anthony from the Congress of Essential Workers. This month speaking from the Johnson County on the Staten Island Ferry, where no other group has been, and going towards the borough has been forgotten. This month I'm gonna bring up the issue that 24/7 subway service has been way overdue. That benefits not only essential workers, it benefits everyone. Last weekend, I took the 4 train from Grand Central towards the Bronx. I saw little police presence inside the train, but we need more, especially in the downtown Brooklyn area where Transit 30 is. And also we need more social workers from the Bowery Residence Committee that they could lead their facilities at Penn State. And also we need more police presence, not only in the platforms, along the subway road as well. But also please update the subway master inside the Staten Island ferry boats. They are too old, they need to be updated. And please bring articulated buses to Staten Island, especially to the S40, where you have workers in standing room only. So that's all I have to say for this month. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Vanessa, followed by Jessica De La Rosa.
Hello, how you doing? I'm a bus operator working out of Queens. I report to my depot in Queens. I pull out a bus, I bring it out and service the riding public in the Bronx and in Manhattan. We're currently out of contract. We're 3 years behind in salary. Drivers out in Bronx, Manhattan, and other boroughs besides Staten Island are getting more paid than what we get, or than what we're getting at Queens and Staten Island. You guys said that you needed the bill money to pay us. You got the bill money from the government, and you still haven't paid us. Where's our contract? Where's the money that we deserve? We've been driving out here through the pandemic. We've been dying out here, and we still haven't gotten a raise. Where's all the money going? And then you have this whole thing about safety. You're blaming the government. You're blaming the mayor. We blame the transit authority. You guys have nothing implemented for the drivers or nothing implemented for the employees telling us how to deal with EDPs or telling us how to deal with the homeless. We need more training dealing with the homeless and dealing with the EDPs. You need to give us a radio directly contacting the police officers when we need help. We need help. We need a contract. And this whole thing is just pathetic.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jessica De La Rosa, followed by Valerie Joseph.
Hi there, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So good morning, I'm Jessica De La Rosa, and I'm the systems advocate for the Brooklyn Center for Independence of the Disabled and a longtime Access-a-Ride user. BCID is a member of ARG, the Access-a-Ride Reform Group. I'm testifying today because I and my colleagues and friends who use Access-a-Ride and who are in the on-demand program now are having a tough time finding rides. Access-a-Ride tells us that there's a shortage of drivers, and we understand that. But what we don't understand is why the drivers who pick us up often make it clear that they aren't getting reimbursed fairly for their rides. And now, with this elimination of Curb as one of the on-demand vendors, we'll be left with 2 companies to choose from, even though Curb had the widest network of drivers. We understand why Curb will no longer be a vendor, but what we don't want is for the MTA just to shrug the problem off. Access-a-Ride and the MTA must work to broaden the network and make sure no one is left at the curb. Thank you.
Thank you. Our final speaker is Valerie Joseph.
Good afternoon. My name is Valerie Joseph, accessory advocate from the Brooklyn Center for the Independence of the Disabled. I have a few comments about the on-demand pilot program that are very concerning to me and the population that I try to represent. I'm a strong supporter of the on-demand program, which is why I'm particularly concerned with what's going on. Here are my questions. Number one, why when we book a ride, it either takes too long to register the ride or does not register at all? Number two, why are the drivers telling us that we aren't getting paid enough to make the pickups for worth the money that they're getting? Number three, even though riders are given the option to choose between vendors, why has the availability problem not been resolved? What actions will Accessoride and the MTA take to resolve these problems? Let me make sure you know that in spite of the problems that have popped up recently, the on-demand pilot program has been a game changer for me and the other lucky 1,200 people who have had the opportunity to use this program. As the city opens up and we get back to our offices and start going to meetings in person, on demand, if it's working, is the way that it once did, with the way that it once did, will make a huge difference. It should be expanded, but no matter what, you need to take action now to resolve these issues that we are experiencing at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the public comment session.